Mm. Well. Um, are we live streaming? I believe we are. I believe we are. It remains to be seen. Remains to be confirmed. Figuring out. Hold on. Yeah. I think it is. I think we're streaming live. Maybe. I guess. I don't know. I'm here. We'll see how it goes. So, this is a random live stream on the Midgard Musings channel. Random Q&A. If you're watching, please comment down below so I can see, that you're here. But as it says, it's a random live Q&A. Questions and answers. So if you're here and you're participating and you want to talk to me, right? Feel free to do so. I think I've got this thing going. All right, cool. So we got Rune, who says, watching. Hail and welcome to you. I'm going to do my best to multitask. We got Dragon Dancer. We got Kate. Hail and hello, everybody. Thank you. It is a random live stream because I don't do these things. I honestly can't remember the last time that I did one of these live stream sort of thing. So yeah, I'm here. You're here. Everybody here. And hello, Kate. Hello, Dragon Dancer. Hello, Sorlone. Hello, everybody. This is a live Q&A. I'm just streaming for a little bit to, talk to people. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for saying that you're here, watching, listening, and whatnot. I guess let's just start off with the fact that, did you catch today's Random Heathen Ramblings podcast? And if you did, where did you catch it? Where did you absorb it on? Did you watch it here on YouTube? Did you listen to it on Spotify or any of the other platforms? If you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you have comments, let's talk about it. Let's talk about anything, right? Anything and everything that you have in your mind. I'm just kind of chilling here for a little bit, offering this live stream as a way for us to have some conversation, whether it be about this morning's podcast or whether it be about any other things that are on your mind. There is also the super thanks option for the live stream if you are willing to or wanting to support the channel and podcast in that way. You can, engage that in that sort of way. Dragon Dancer says, caught most of it. Yes, I saw you there this morning, commenting in the live chats. So thank you. Thank you for that. If anybody missed it, if anybody is here in the live right now that missed this morning's podcast. It's going to be posted down here in the live chat for you guys to check out. But it was on the topic of the Landvitier. Checking message. I'm multitasking, guys. Bit under. Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. I'm multitasking because my wife is in transit. She is visiting some relatives out east, and making sure that who she's with and the whole traveling bit is going well. Kate says didn't catch the podcast, but mostly listen on YouTube. Cool. Well, again, there's the link for the today's podcast episode on YouTube. It's also on Spotify. It's on Pandora. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts. It's on basically everywhere, you know. So you guys can check that out. Didn't catch it today, you said, but mostly listen on YouTube. Cool, Kate. Again, it was on the topic of honoring the Landvitier, and how my perceptions on the continuous efforts or the continuous endeavors to connect, to be engaging with the unseen spirits, the Vatir, right? It's kind of what we talked about on this morning's podcast, but if you didn't catch it, that's cool. It's up here, there, here, wherever. Hope you get to check it out. But yeah, I don't do a lot of these random live streams, and thank you for tuning in for those that do. But this is pretty much just a wide open, if you have a question, if you have something that you're thinking about, heathenry related or otherwise, and you want to post it down here in the live chat, I'm here for about the next 30 45 minutes maybe, to respond and explore your thoughts. But yeah, I don't do a lot of these things because I just don't have the time normally in my regular schedules. This is a bit of an off of the cuff sort of thing, just because I have some time off of my normal day-to-day 9 to 5 job, and I thought, well, let's get out here and stream a bit, talk a bit about things that are on people's minds. So if you have something on your mind, let me know. I am personally gearing up for a weekend hike here in Middle Tennessee. I'm going to be going off to Savage Gulf. Savage Gulf, I think, is the name of the state land. It's about an hour-ish or so away from where I live in Tennessee. Going to be doing a pretty good hike out there in that area this weekend. Just on Saturday, and on Friday, if you're listening to this, watching this stream right now, so tomorrow, gonna have a friend over. We're gonna have some corned beef, some cabbage, some potatoes, some vegetables, some listening to music, talking about things. A very relaxing, much needed break from the hustle and bustle, of the day-to-day activities that I'm engaged in. And so if you are busy with your day-to-day stuff, I encourage you, take time, do the things that you need to do that encourage self-preservation. Take the time away from your jobs, from your 9 to 5s, whatever you want to call them, and take care of yourself, because that's what this weekend is about for me. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Invite your friends to the live stream too, everybody. So Kate, Dragon, Dragon Dancer and So Alone, you guys are watching. Invite your friends. Bring some people. I want to talk to people. I'm not here just to be fancy on the camera, because that's not a thing. I want to talk to people. I want to hear thoughts and ideas about people. Dragon Dancer says they'll be doing some blacksmithing this weekend. Cool. What are you working on? What are you blacksmithing? What are you smithing? Is it a weapon? Is it some jewelry? What sort of things are you working on in the forge? I love blacksmithing. Like, I've never done it, but I've watched a lot of people working in the forge, so, horseshoes, armor, weapons, trinkets, what are you working on in the forge this weekend? Dragon Dancer, would be really interested to know what that is and what you're working on. We're getting into the lively time of year, right? Springtime is coming, where things are being awakened. So a lot of our people are thinking inspirational ideas. The things of an inspirational nature are coming back to life. It's been quiet, it's been calm, it's been still, for a while now, and now all like the warmth and the sun and all that stuff is coming back into our lives, and we're thinking of creativity. Dragon Dancer is saying that making a knife and did a bracelet last week. Cool. So you're into weaponry this week. And here's the interesting thing. I like the fact that you say knife. You were working on a bracelet some time ago. I said weaponry when referring to a knife, but a knife is a tool that can be used for things, for purposes beyond just warfare. It's a utilitarian tool, right? So you can cut your food, you can shave bark off of trees, you can do all sorts of things with a knife that don't necessarily classify that implement or that tool as a device for warfare. I remember back when I was doing like martial arts training, like a decade, well, more than a decade, like a decade and a half ago, we would look at items for warfare, specifically in like the Asian martial arts, and a lot of things that became weapons of war were previously used as weapons of like agriculture. So like, the scythe or the sickle, they were implements of or tools of agriculture that needed to be used in times of warfare as well. So they had a multi-purpose, they served a multi-purpose. And knives and axes and things of those nature are also multi-purpose. Now, one interesting thing is that the sword is a weapon of war. It is a tool of war. There is nothing else that the sword particularly is used for, right? So you can make the argument that, well, an axe is also used in warfare, as well as chopping wood and cutting down trees. The bow, for instance, is a tool used in hunting for capturing your prey in a hunt, as well as war, and all these other things. The sword particularly serves no other purpose except its purpose in war. It is an implement of devastation to mankind. They're you know, you're not going to use a sword to cut down crops, unlike a scythe or a sickle. You're not going to shoot a bow, right? You're going to use a bow, I should say, to shoot at a deer or at any other sort of prey, as well as like in warfare. It's multi-purpose. The sword is exclusively for warfare. Dragon Dancer says that they cut a tree down with a sword once and it didn't go well. Yeah, why? Because it is a tool. It is an implement of warfare. The sword is for the battlefield. It's not for anything else. If you want to cut a tree down, then you bring an axe. You know, making more of a utility knife for gathering, less as a weapon. So yeah, like these tools, these things have a multi-purpose. You know, they serve a multi-purpose. Whereas the sword is a weapon of war, and it's interesting to think about how weapons were imbued with in like Germanic, in a Germanic heathen view or approach, how these items were imbued with power from the gods, right? Like, so you look at certain sources that talk about, you know, runes being inscribed on the hilts of swords. It's not, you know, the handles of axes or the, you know, the limbs of a bow or anything like that. Like, it specifically says that it was for the hilt of swords, because these are weapons of war. And they serve a singular purpose, you know. It's interesting to think about. Kate says that my nephew did that once and had the same outcome. Yeah, I remember as a kid like having different swords that you know, were like, yes, they were metal, but they weren't, you know, the edges were dull. They were very crudely crafted, you know. They were, for all intents and purposes, you know, real items. They weren't like plastic or composite materials. They were crafted or forged using metal, but they were, you know, they were not the greatest for, you know, actual combat. I own a sword that was crafted by a swordsmith, you know, that I purchased years ago, decades ago, when I was still living in New York. At a fair, and the it was like a gun and knife show, like a county fair or a gun and knife show. And this blade was not crafted for combat. It was a dulled edge, and I was like, I like what you've got here. I want this, but I want it to be proven for combat. All right. So he took it back to his forge and he sharpened it and he did all the things, and I still own it to this day. Dragon Dancer says the coyotes are singing their hunting song. Yes, yes, they are. It is a an interesting night. I'm not sure where exactly you are, Dragon Dancer, where the coyotes are singing their hunting song, but it is a mild night. There are some storms afoot here in Middle Tennessee. So there's a lot of activity going on. So a lot of the wildlife may be hunkering down here in my area, but particularly where you are, they may be out and doing their thing. And that kind of goes back to the whole Vatir conversation, right? These representations of the spirits that exist in and around us. Coyotes being obviously a wild animal that could be represented as Vatir, or the Vatir could be represented through them. You're in Florida, okay. So depending on where you are, you know, northern Florida, mid state, you know, if you're in the Panhandle, Alabama, if you're further south, right? if you're talking about coyotes, I feel like you're probably further north, like Georgia to the panhandle of Alabama and that sort of area. I don't know how prolific coyotes are in the mid to south areas of Florida. But still, nonetheless, right? They are active. They are doing their thing. They are behaving in a way and acting in a way that exudes what and who they are. And oftentimes, like I remember growing up, like in New York, when certain the particular part of New York where I'm from, like we would have sirens that would go off at various times of the day and night for fire emergencies is the best way I could put it, right? If the fire department needed to be deployed to an emergency, there were sirens that would go off, and those sirens would be blared in the air. They would sound like kind of like tornado sirens or any other sorts of those things. It was like wailing noise, and that noise would trigger the coyotes in our area, and they would start just going off, like howling, wailing, doing whatever. Yeah, it says you're pretty far south, and they're everywhere. Yeah, I'm sure they are. And coyotes, like I think in a lot of areas, what we would call coyotes, these wild dogs, these just wild canines. They're not obviously as big as wolves, but especially when you like go further south and their size diminishes due to like inbreeding of domestic canines. Like there's probably some inbreeding that goes on with like wolf type domestic canines, so like German shepherds and that sort of thing. Like I know that that's a thing. But they are everywhere, and they get classified as just coyotes, wild dogs, whatever. But so depending on where you are in the country in the United States, they could be referred to as different things. But I think coyote is like a generic term that a lot of people would label them as. So like back in New York, where I'm from, the coyotes would just start hooting and hollering when the fire whistles would go off or the sirens would go off for fire emergencies. It triggers their reaction. Kate says that here in Ohio, okay, so you're in the Midwest. All you're hearing are owls, and you're guessing that it's the weather. Hoot owls or screech owls? Because back in the place of New York where I'm from, you would hear that that hoot owl, and then you would also hear these like screech owls. That probably didn't resonate well, but like that. Can't do it. I used to could. For those Southern people that are listening, I can't do it now, but I used to could. Used to could make or used to be able to make that that what that just wild screeching screech owl. And it's horrific sounding. But either way, they are a prolific species as well, especially in the north. Okay, hoot owls. Dragon dancers is most mammals are pretty small here, even the deer. Yes, if you're in Florida, especially if you're in South Florida, they are. Now we're talking about mammals, right? So yes, like the deer are relatively small. The coyotes, the wild dogs, they are relatively small. Now you want to talk about like amphibious creatures like alligators, like that is, you guys have got that on lockdown. the alligators and stuff down there in South Florida, man, you're basically living with dinosaurs, right? Soralone says we have an issue with wild dogs here along with coyotes. Have not heard anything lately on the wolf pack. Yeah. Again, I think on the eastern United States, so for anybody listening that's capturing this, I'm in the eastern sector of the United States. So Tennessee is an east coast, eastern portion of the country. Wolves, I think, have been sighted in like the mountain areas of Appalachia and even the Adirondacks further up north, but you're going to see more of that occurring further west, on the other side of this country. Yeah, the reptiles are huge, right? Your geckos, like your geckos are like flexing. They're like, bitch, what? Over here we got these like little stupid little salamanders, and your geckos are like on creatine and shit down there in Florida. They basically, you're the Florida. I think your guys are like the amphibious authorities of the United States. You guys have got massive control in the amphibian realm. So yeah, while your dogs and mammals and warm-blooded creatures may be minimal in size, your cold-blooded creatures tend to dominate. At least the amphibious, reptilians, crocodilians, that sort of thing. Yeah, the Australia of the US. Yeah. Florida man, right? That's like an ongoing meme. Like that's your pride and joy, right? Florida man, you guys are wild down there, man. It's like like you are like the Australia of the US. If I had to put a label to it, yeah, you guys are nuts. I never, and I'm from New York, and that's the wild thing about like a lot of elderly people that are from the North relocate to Florida, I guess because of the temperature or whatever, but I'm like, it's like the Wild West down there. It's like it's Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, baby. You know what I mean? Down in Florida. When you're in like retirement age, why the hell do you want to go back to that? Like, I don't know, like go to the Keys or go somewhere tropical further south. But yeah, man, mainland Florida is he's Florida man is the local spirit cryptid. He is, man. He's that exemplary representation of the spirit of, that Seminole spirit, if you will. I don't think, or I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I think Seminole is the indigenous tribe that is native to the state of Florida, right? Just like I'm from New York, right? And the part of New York where I'm from, like that is Algonquin, Shinnecock, Mohawk, right? Like all of these indigenous tribes are from there. You guys down in Florida, man, the local cryptids down there, like that Seminole territory, I think. I could be wrong. Sorlin says these are the big grays here, man eaters. Okay, the native tribes here, and the dog fighting is because the wild dog packs lost a lady last year to a pack of wild dogs. Yes, the Seminole. Okay, cool. So Sorlone, you don't know exactly where you're hailing from, but you've got some big boy energy, some big girl energy, some real massive spiritual Vatir presence up there in your area, or out there in your area, you know. Um, dog fightings, man eaters, right? Like that's some real heavy duty shit. If we want to get real with it. Oh damn, Wyoming. Okay. I've been to Wyoming a number of times. I've been to Cheyenne. So this is like prairie, mountainous, you know, real big boy energy out there, man. Like I remember going on trips and spending time in the north, I think the south parts of Utah, and also the mountains of Colorado. So like Moab, Utah, also Divide, Colorado, which is up about 30 miles above Colorado Springs, Cheyenne. Yeah, man, like that is some real old, vibrant, and like powerful energy out there. Like I've been all over this country, and it's the vibe is different. It feels different out there, you know. They are literally, I don't know, man. Like it's, when you walk through the mountains of like Appalachia, like yes, it is old, yes, it is powerful energy, but then when you go like scouring through like the Rockies and out there, like where you are, Sorlone, like in Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, like that area of the country is something different. It may not be older than Appalachia, but it's certainly like just like, I don't know, jacked up, like big boy energy out there, just massive, powerful, resounding, unrelentless energy that exists out there from the limited time that I was able to kind of peruse and be you know present to experience it. And that was like decades ago. That was at least 10, 15 years ago, and I want to go back and I want to feel what I feel now in those areas. I want to experience the Vatir of that land. I want to talk with those whites. you know Primordial, I think, is a good way to describe the kind of energy that's out there in the Rockies, right? It is raw, like you say. It's raw and powerful. Crushing Nihilism is from the UP, and currently in Wisconsin. That's some real just heavy duty stuff up there, man. Like you start going that far up into the Midwest, you might as well be in Canada at that point. You know what I mean? Um, Dragon Dancer says most of the state is a giant volcano. Yeah. What state you're talking about? I know you're in Florida, Dragon Dancer, but yeah, the UP of like my tribe's Thule is from Michigan, and I'm a northerner too, and I'm from New York, but it's like a different section of the North. Like he's Midwestern North, and I'm like Northeast North, and but he and I both have this understanding, like here in the South, here in Tennessee, where we both live. It's I saw a notice today here in this part of Tennessee, like schools for our county are being closed tomorrow. And I'm like, why in the hell are the schools being closed? It's like, well, they're we got a lot of high winds, and and stuff. And so they're closing the schools. I'm like, these sons of bitches down here are going to close the schools for just anything and everything that they can think of, because they don't have any other good reason to close the schools down. They have to take a snow day even when there ain't snow. They got to shut the shit down even when there isn't reason to shut it down. So, we got, 40, 50 mile an hour winds. Big whoop, right? Tornadoes are a big thing down here in the South. And so I guess they're looking at it as a precautionary measure. Shut the schools down. Don't let kids go to school because, there's a whatever percentage of a chance of a tornado that could pop up or whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right. Meanwhile, like, yeah, dragon dancers out. Meanwhile, out there in Wyoming, your asses are sitting on, dormant volcanoes. We're over here because we get a gusty breeze. The school's got to get shut down. Yeah. The Yup has old forests, like Crushing Nihilism says. You can feel the difference in the air. It's almost eerie. I've been places like that, man. Where you're just walking through and then you just kind of hit a spot and it's like attitude, vibrations, feelings shift and change. You feel this kind of general welcoming energy, and then all of a sudden you feel this place where it's like, I don't need to be here that long. Something to do with the Vatir of that area, perhaps. Yeah. High winds. We get like a foot of snow last week and not even delayed. Thank you, right? Crushing Nihilism. Like, but you guys are, like Wyoming, that's you guys are prepared for that. I'm telling you, Tennessee has like absolutely no preparation or infrastructure for inclement weather. They don't. If it's high winds, they're shutting it down. If there's a 0.0001% chance of winter weather, they're shutting it down. Tennessee is the worst when it comes to preparations, having infrastructure in place to keep the status quo going, right? Keep things going as they should be. It's just weather. You know what I mean? And like I'm looking at the weather forecast today and it's like, okay, we're up to 70 degrees today. Tomorrow it's going to be, in the 60s, and then by Saturday it's going to be like in the 50s. It's the most roller coaster, bipolar, just does whatever the hell it feels like for reasons. Place that I've ever lived. At least when I was living in New York, we knew winter was winter, spring was spring, summer was summer, and autumn was autumn. Down here in Tennessee, it's like winter could be summer, and then all of a sudden the next day it's winter again, and then we might think about spring, and then in 15 minutes we're gonna snow again, and it's the most just unstable, bipolar. It's like just it's crazy. Yeah, never heard of school being closed for high winds. Neither have I, Kate. They're looking at high winds, right? 50, 60 mile an hour, perhaps winds, and going, oh, that could be a tornado. And I asked my wife, right? Because she's from the South, and she grew up here in the area of Middle Tennessee where I live. I was like, was this the way schools were back when you were a kid? I'm like, because I'm pretty sure that there were like tornado drills and all that sort of thing. Like kids still had to go to school. They didn't just shut it down because of, any percentage. Like you went to fucking school, and then if something happened, you went through the precautionary measures to make sure that the kids were safe. But you still went to school. You still went and did the thing. I mean, for crying out loud, man. Like I remember, working as a teenager on a roof in the middle of a thunderstorm on an aluminum ladder, like lightning and thunder and everything crashing around. Like, oh, well, we still got to finish this job. hell happened to this generation, man? Like what's happened to these people that are unwilling to, I don't want to say unwilling, but that are just are not looking at the reality. Like none of this is different. Like this isn't new stuff, right? This happens almost every year, and now all of a sudden we're seeing people taking precautions that do you even need to take them? Go to school, go and do your thing. If shit hits the fan, take the precautionary measures to protect yourselves. Like I feel like there's things that are happening now that are not preparing kids and the younger generation to deal with severe repercussions of natural disasters. You can't protect, you can't shield, you can't like coddle people. You've got to throw them in the mix, and you got to say, now, throw them in the deep end and say, now you're going to swim or you're going to drown. Start swimming because you're in the deep end now. If you don't survive, then it's because you didn't swim hard enough. You know what I mean? What kind of people are we I'll say cultivating, but like what kind of people are we these words, these terms, grooming, cultivating, preparing. I get preparing is a good word. How are we preparing the younger generation to deal with inclement and undesirable situations when they arise? If all we're doing is shielding them from dealing with it, taking them away from situations, taking them away from challenges. Oh, don't go to school. Stay home. Don't go out there. Don't face the problems. Don't face the challenges. Just stay home where it's safe, right? We'll keep you safe. No, man. Nut up. Get out there. Prepare, learn the ways to be prepared for disaster. Face that storm head on. Climb that aluminum ladder in the middle of a thunderstorm. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I may be very I'm very biased in this view on things, and so don't take what I'm saying as being like the end all be all, please. Not everybody is the same. Not everybody thinks in the same way. You know what I mean? Hey there, RJ, bro. Our Dragon Dancer says, we taught our daughters for severe weather. We went through a Cat 4 almost hurricane and last year, and she pulled through better than most adults. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you don't prepare the younger generation, if you don't prepare our children are our future. All right. I don't care what culture, what anything. I ain't gonna be here forever. You ain't gonna be here forever. So our kids are going to be here after us. Our children are going to be here after us. If we're not preparing our children for disasters, if we're not preparing our children, because guess what, guys? Life is full of suffering. You're gonna suffer regardless of your choices. But if we can position ourselves to suffer in a controlled manner, right? We're gonna suffer anyway. Life's gonna suck. We're gonna suffer anyway. So let's put ourselves in positions that prepare us to deal with the suffering in a proactive manner, in a constructive manner, in a way that's going to get us through that problem, that suffering, that difficulty, that challenge. I feel that doing these sorts of things speak well to the layers that have been laid down before us, that layer of Orlog, the things that have been laid down prior to our existence from our ancestors, right? They had to go through some tough shit. Now we got to go through some tough shit. Well, we are able to go through the tough shit now because of the tough shit that they were able to go through, because we inherit that luck that's been laid down in those primal layers. If all we're doing is coddling and making it easy for the kids, like, oh, don't go to school because of the winds or whatever, like, look, be safe, be mindful, but also don't be afraid. Don't be timid. Be brave and be courageous, right? Know that you ain't gonna die, right? It's like that meme, like, you went through this thing, that, the other. Yeah, but did you die? Right? Dude, I was 16, 17 years old. I was moving cattle from one pasture to another. One of the steers broke free of that area and ran me down. I had to hold on to this sucker's head. This sucker was like 1,200, 1,400 pounds. All right. I had to hold on to this damn thing's neck and ride that bitch down through a gulch, down through a ditch, right? Until I could find a way to jump out of here, man. Like, that's character building stuff. You know, in that moment, nobody could have trained me to prepare for that. But everything that led up to my experience working with these animals, doing these sorts of things, gave me the ability to say, I can't stop this 1,400-pound animal, but I damn sure ain't gonna run away. I'm gonna hold on and I'm going for the ride, right? It's these character building exercises. It's these things that this modern younger generation just fails to capture. Sorlon says, we cheat here because it is a way of life. You go for a walk in the woods here to be ready for bears, big cats, big puppies. You're in fucking Wyoming, dude. Like, that is absolutely like the Wild West of the wilderness, and it can be the same way in certain areas out here, but especially in Wyoming. Like, I've been to Cheyenne, I've been to other places in Wyoming, and even your most populated areas are very, remote and very rural. You are in an area that you have to adapt. You have to learn these ways. Otherwise, you just succumb to destruction. You have to adapt. You have to learn. Other places may not have that same approach and that same thing, but I think the lesson to be learned is that the wild, the laws of the jungle, the laws of nature are what they are. You can't say, well, just because it's windy today, we're not gonna do our thing. Like, fuck that. Yeah, you got to batten down the hatches and you got to deal with it because the wind's coming through. But anyway, had a good time. It was a great live stream. Great to see everybody that popped in and said hello. Thank you for commenting. Sorlone, RJ Crow, Dragon Dancer, Kate, Crushing Nihilism. You guys, gals, peoples of all shapes, sizes, identifications, what have you, are the reason why I want to come out here and do this sort of random thing. Don't have a schedule for these random lives. Again, it is exactly that, very random. But I appreciate your participation and voicing your thoughts. So please be sure to subscribe to this channel, like it, like the video, do all the things that I talk about all the time. Definitely appreciate your participation here tonight. And I wanted to just say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be wanting to do this, because otherwise I could just look into a camera, talk, and not get any feedback. So you guys are the real MVPs. And I thank you for that. So until we talk again, it is an honor, a pleasure to be here. You guys stay safe out there. Do all the things that you can to continue to honor your legacies, honor your ancestors' legacy. May the gods continue to notice you, and may your ancestors smile upon you. See you guys soon. Thank you so much.